right, folks, the moment we've all been waiting for has finally arrived. For years, Whoopi Goldberg has run The View like her personal empire, silencing conservative voices, shutting down guests with condescending smirks, and acting as if anyone who dares to disagree with her isn't even worth acknowledging. She's bulldozed through debates, dismissed legitimate arguments, and made it clear that if you're not on her side, you don't belong. But this time, she met her match. And trust me, it wasn't just a disagreement, it was a reckoning.
If you don't have anything to say, you blab. You just go on and 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 on.
Enter Karoline Leavitt.
Voters do not agree with these despicable women on The View. They are wildly out of touch with the vast majority of Americans, and frankly, they should seek immediate help.
What went down wasn't just another heated debate on The View. No, this was an absolute takedown. Karoline Leavitt didn't just challenge Whoopi, she exposed her hypocrisy in real time, leaving her scrambling for a comeback. The entire panel, including Joy Behar, sat there stunned, speechless for what might be the first time in the show's history. And now, the fallout is nothing short of explosive. ABC executives are reportedly in full-on panic mode, rumors of major firings are spreading like wildfire, and Whoopi, well, let's just say the whispers about her being done for good are getting louder by the second. But what exactly did Karoline say that left Whoopi humiliated on live television? And why is the media desperately trying to downplay it? Stick around because we're breaking it all down. But first, do me a favor, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another uncensored takedown of the mainstream media's biggest hypocrites. Alright, let's dive.
Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
The most divisive and disgusting speech that any president, certainly in my lifetime, has ever given. He essentially waged war on half of the country by saying that we are all a threat to democracy because we believe in putting America first. It's not radical to want to put your country and your own people first. It's not radical to want to have a strong border, a strong military, and to unleash the might of your own economy, not economies around the world. You know, we have seen cultural Marxism trickling its way through every institution in this country. The public school system, the higher education university system, Hollywood, big tech, the corrupt mainstream media that I fought against in President Trump's White House are indoctrinating my generation of Americans into hating our country, hating one another based on race and gender and sex, and all of this other BS, quite frankly.
The chaos all started when Whoopi, Joy Behar, and the rest of the View crew decided it was their turn to lecture Karoline Leavitt on wokeness. Now, if you've ever watched this show before, you already know how this goes. They invite a conservative guest onto their turf, ambush them with loaded questions, and then pat themselves on the back for shutting down any viewpoint that doesn't align with their agenda. But this time their plan backfired, big time. Whoopi, in typical fashion, rolled her eyes, dismissed Karoline's arguments without even listening, and acted as if she was just another uninformed conservative who didn't deserve to be taken seriously. And Joy Behar? Well, she couldn't resist throwing in one of her usual bitter jabs, smirking as she tried to discredit Karoline with her usual brand of mean-spirited sarcasm. But what they weren't expecting was for Karoline to hit back, and hit back hard.
Clarify, she's probably been put in there because according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though, it's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous Trump administration.
Hypocrisy reaches peak levels. The same women who constantly preach about empowering women and lifting up female voices suddenly had no problem mocking, belittling, and attacking Karoline. Just because she's a conservative. So now we're judging women based on their looks? Their age? Their political beliefs? The irony is off the charts. These are the same people who claim to stand for women's rights, unless, of course, the woman in question doesn't parrot their progressive talking points. The moment a conservative woman speaks up, they don't empower her. They try to tear her down. And the worst part? They actually think nobody notices. But this time, they messed with the wrong woman.
Do you want to take this?
No, you cannot be attractive and smart. I will try to give Joy the benefit, and oh, thank you. I try to give Joy the benefit of the doubt that she didn't see that briefing. Because if you saw that yesterday on numerous topics, no big binder, I think she might have had a different impression of this young woman who held her own.
I mean, you would have to give her the benefit of the doubt that she did absolutely no research or reading about anything dealing with Karoline Leavitt before she made that remark. Because Karoline Leavitt she went to St. Anselm College. She worked for WMUR
Ran for Congress?
in New Hampshire. She ran for Congress at the age of 25, put on a very good campaign.
Because here's the reality. Karoline Leavitt's list of accomplishments is through the roof. She's young, intelligent, well-spoken, and has already achieved far more than most people twice her age. She's a rising force in politics and media, and whether the left likes it or not, she's got an audience that's only getting bigger. And Whoopi? Well, at this point, she just seems bitter. Bitter that her narrative is crumbling, bitter that her influence isn't what it used to be, and bitter that someone much younger, sharper, and more fearless just made her look like a fool on her own show. But here's where it gets even better.
She lost by 8 or 9 points, but she still put on a good campaign. Then she was the press secretary for the Trump campaign, going on TV literally every day.
Well, heavily pregnant and a new mom.
Pregnant. Yeah, she's a new mother. And then she goes out yesterday and gives and this, again, this is speaking very objectively, because I've watched every press secretary since going back to Marlon Fitzwater. Yeah, I'm that old. And she went out there for her very first briefing at the age of 27 years old, the youngest press secretary ever, and did a terrific job.
But here's where it gets juicy. Karoline didn't flinch, not even a stutter.
These women are completely out of touch with reality. And you're right, ABC should wake up.
I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay,
now,
I'm sorry, guys. We're going to come back out to the panel. Karoline, thank you very much for your time.
Despite Whoopi's smug eye rolls, Joy's snarky interruptions, and the panel's desperate attempts to shut her down, Karoline didn't flinch. Not even for a second. No hesitation. No backpedaling. No nervous stutter. She held her ground, calmly and confidently dismantling their arguments one by one, while Whoopi sat there looking completely outmatched. And the audience? Well, let's just say even some of The View's most loyal viewers couldn't help but notice how bad this looked for Whoopi. The entire segment was a disaster for the show, and the backlash is only getting started.
That was so good. That's so good. In a statement afterwards, this young lady claimed her, quote, on-air snub proves that you know who will not be treated fairly in the upcoming debate. Now, do you think this is going to make people doubt whether CNN can stay objective, or is this more the same of, everybody's against me, it's all rigged, I tell you. Is everything rigged?
No, it's their MO. That's what they do. Rachel Maddow said last week, she's like, if the election is lost, it was rigged. If there's a debate, then the moderators are probably biased and they're prejudiced against me.
Now, the million-dollar question. What does Whoopi have to say for herself after getting wrecked on live TV? Honestly, nothing of value. But just to be fair, let's take a listen. Because if nothing else, it's proof that when faced with real opposition, the loudest voices on the left suddenly have a lot less to say. Karoline didn't just push back, she fired back. Whoopi, do you even hear yourself? You sit up here preaching about women's empowerment, but the second a conservative woman succeeds, you claim it's because of her looks? That's the real problem. Boom. The room went dead silent. Even Joy Behar, the queen of interrupting, had nothing to say. The panel just sat there, stunned. But Karoline wasn't done. She leaned in and delivered the knockout punch. Wokeness isn't about equality. It's a political weapon used to silence anyone who disagrees. And Whoopi, you prove it every single day on this show. The gasps from the audience? Impossible to miss. Within seconds, social media exploded. Clips of Whoopi getting exposed went viral, and #The View Meltdown started trending nationwide. But as bad as it already looked, ABC's nightmare was just beginning, because what happened next? Oh, it only made reports started leaking that producers were fuming at Whoopi. Sponsors were getting nervous. And even some of The View's most die-hard fans started turning on her. And then, the real bombshell dropped. Whoopi Goldberg was mysteriously absent from the next episode. ABC's official statement? Whoopi is taking time to reflect on recent discussions. Yeah, sure. We all know what that really means. The face of The View, the woman who's ruled that panel for years, was suddenly on the chopping block. But the fallout didn't stop there. At this point, the writing's on the wall. ABC is now facing a massive decision. Do they clean house and finally bring some balance to The View? Or do they double down, risk total cancellation, and go down with the ship? Let's be real, this show thrives on controversy. But when the backlash outweighs the ratings boost, it's game over. And right now, ABC is walking a razor-thin line. Advertisers are pulling back, credibility is in the gutter, and viewers are tuning out. Could Karoline Leavitt have just delivered the final nail in the coffin? Alright folks, now it's your turn. Was this the most epic moment in The View's history? Did Whoopi finally cross the line? And does she deserve to be fired for it? And most importantly, is this the end of The View? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And before you bounce, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications, because trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next.